Chapter 271 Lambs and Wolves, in Muslim Societies, Part 6. At 12:30 p.m., Al-Tizir bus started its journey to Al-Gadarif city. Many unfavorable changes took place on the return trip. As soon as the bus started, the driver played a sad song. It spoke of a lover who forsook his beloved and fell in love with another girl. The song is naturally disapproved by the four friends, especially Firdaus. Besides that, the conductor is very rude in his dealings with the passengers. He made unnecessary quarrels with 3 passengers. When he came to Intisar, he addressed her as Madam. In addition to all that, the lovers are separated in their seats. The 2 sisters are seated together. Sami and Salah occupied 2 seats behind them, while Frida sat in front of her sisters. When the bus traveled for half an hour, all the passengers fell in deep slumber. The 4 lovers remained awake, giving themselves to imagination and recollection. The 2 sisters are recollecting the wonderful time that had just passed, and the friends are envisaging a bright future that is yet to come. The driver had stopped playing his tape recorder. He is driving with mad speed. The conductor is fast sleeping and snoring. Even the weather sometimes becomes hostile. That day the sun is spreading unbearable heat. The bus is stopped 4 times for a police checkup. The passengers are enraged against the authorities. How could they force citizens to line up 4 times in that unbearable heat for checking? But in all those unfavorable conditions, the lovers continued to be cheerful. When the bus traveled for a few hours, the friends began to whisper their plans for meeting again. First they decided to meet once in a week. Salah suggested a deserted road which he knew for their meeting. The suggestion is accepted because there is no alternative. Besides that, they planned other ways of keeping in touch. Sami will invite Intisar, Frida, and Firdaus for a movie. He will also call his friend Salah to see the same movie. Intisar and Firdaus will request their sister to call Sami and Salah for a dinner party at their house. After that, Salah will pretend to be touched by the generosity of Frida and Sami and hence invite all for lunch at his house. During those gatherings, Frida and her mother should be informed of the love affair between Salah and Firdaus. The question of when the 4 lovers should be united in marriage will then be answered. They agreed that their marriage's dates shouldn't be fixed in too distant future. Meanwhile, Intisar's mother is full of joy when she is informed of Frida's arrival. So, on the same day in which the lovers left Khartoum, she is busy preparing a big feast for her daughters. She got up early in the morning and began her cooking. The hours passed slowly and she never felt tired or needed a helper. She is sick and her back is half bent due to the many years she spent in cooking bread, kisra and food at home and selling them at the grand market. Those years were gone forever and Frida became the backbone of the house. So, for the mother, Frida is not just a daughter, but a son. Her heart's desire to see Frida got married and had children. While the mother is engaged in her cooking, she heard a heavy knocking on the door. The knocker seemed to be using a stick to announce his coming. The mother stopped her work and rushed to the outside door. Since she is not expecting a visitor and the manner in which the knocker announced his coming is uncivilized, the mother peeped before she asked who is there. Through a small hole, the mother saw the face of Hassan Mahjoub al-Hilali. A handsome young boy, who is a little taller than the average height. Even though his face did not reveal the purpose of his coming, but the mother jumped to a conclusion that he came to ask for Intisar's hand. The mother received his proposal through her daughter Intisar, but it is not reached to the point of coming in person. Intisar informed her mother that she had rejected the proposal of Hassan which it had been brought to her through his cousin. Even Frida supported Intisar's refusal. Nevertheless, the mother is still interested in the proposal and waited eagerly for Frida to come that she might take her side and convince Intisar to accept the proposal. In order to achieve such an end, the mother wished that Hassan will have waited until she settled the matter with her daughters first. Howbeit, since he came in person, the mother decided to tell him what is in her heart and send him away before her daughters will come. She opened the door and said, "Come in, my son." If the devil appeared with his horns before her eyes, the mother will not have such reacted when she saw Omar Ibrahim Mustafa Gabr standing beside Hassan. Her smile died instantly and her face became very hostile. She is about to scream on Omar's face and slam the door shut. Before she can do that, the two unexpected visitors walked in. For some time the mother is tempted to walk out and leave her house for the visitors. Unwillingly, the mother followed her visitors inside the house. When the visitors seated themselves, the mother looked at Omar and said angrily, "Why have you come here? Am I not allowed to come to my father's house? This is not your father's house. It is my daughter's house. Listen, woman. I have not come here to dispute with you about property. I have come to talk to you about my sisters. Yesterday they are your enemies and bad girls, but today they have become your sisters. They are my sisters yesterday, and they are my sisters today, and always I am their brother and guardian." "You, a guardian to my daughters?" "Yes, I am. A criminal and a drunkard, a guardian to my good daughters?" After speaking those words, the mother looked at Hassan and said, "If this useless boy told you he is my daughter's guardian, then he has laughed at you and deceived you. Listen, old woman. I have not come here to prove to you that Intisar is my sister and I am her guardian. That right has been given to me by law. Listen carefully to what I am going to tell you, Hassan. If you have come to ask for Intisar's hand in marriage, don't think by bringing this useless boy here you will force her to marry you. If at all there is anyone who will convince Intisar to marry you, that person is Frida. For she is her eldest sister and her guardian." "Frida, a guardian of Intisar? A woman a guardian to a woman? From where have you learned that new law? I swear by Allah and the dignity and honor of my children, if you open your filthy mouth again and talk to me about Intisar, I will beat you with my shoe. Have I not told you, Hassan, it is a waste of time to talk to this woman? Get out of here before I scream and call the neighbors for you." Omar rose from the chair and said angrily, "I am going, but before I leave I want you to know that Intisar, Frida and Firdaus are my sisters and I am their guardian wali. They have no guardian over their heads except me. My brother Osman is still a kid and has no legal authority over Frida, Intisar and Firdaus. I am the only man who is recognized by the Sharia law as their guardian wali. And if you want to know what I mean by that, ask Hassan and he shall tell you what I have done yesterday in the mosque." Before the mother can figure out what he meant by his last statement, Omar walked out of the room and headed towards the outside door. "What have you done at the mosque?" shouted the mother on Hassan's face. "He has given me his sister Intisar as a wife." At the time, Omar has invaded the house and demanded by law Intisar as a lawful wife for Hassan Mahjoub al-Hilali. The four lovers' whispers are disturbed suddenly by a violent shaking. For the bus by now had turned out of the smooth highway and entered the rough road of Al-Gadarif city. The violent jerking and shaking caused the conductor and the passengers to wake up from their slumber. Every passenger thanked God and congratulated his neighbor for the safe arrival from that hazardous journey. When the bus reached its last destination, the conductor quarreled again with yet another 4 passengers including Intisar. This time, the fights are caused by the way in which he tossed their bags from the bus. With gloomy faces the passengers took their bags and left. Some of them cursed the conductor, the driver, and even the authority before they left. The friends too are glad to leave that bus and its rude conductor. Salah and Sami insisted on accompanying the 3 sisters to their house and to assist them in unloading their heavy bags. Frida, Intisar, and Firdaus took the first taxi and left. Sami and Salah followed them in the next taxi. The 2 sisters began to argue regarding who will run first and inform their mother about Frida's safe arrival. The argument turned into teasing each other. Frida said to them, "Please, naughty girls, stop fighting in front of your eldest sister. I will solve your dispute. Let us cast lots and see who will be selected." "Yes," Frida is right, said Intisar. Unfortunately, the taxi reached the house before Frida can cast the lots. The two sisters pushed open the cab doors and raced towards the door of their house. It is a joyous moment for Frida to see her sisters running together. Mother, mother, shouted the two sisters in unison. While they are calling their mother, their hands are banging on the door. The mother voice is heard saying, I am coming. She pushed the door open, ran to her daughter, embraced her and began to cry loudly. Frida and her sisters responded to their mother's crying by shedding tears. The mother and her daughter embraced each other for a long time until Intisar separated them. They entered the house. Sami and Salah brought Frida's bags inside. The mother continued to cry and say, Allah has brought you safely, my daughter. My dear mother, I am glad to see your face after such a long time, said Frida weeping. My daughter, you have come to stand by our side. You know, Frida, after your father died we have no one to stand by our side and protect us from our enemies except you. When the mother said those words she went on crying again. Intisar and Firdaus went and sat beside her and began to cry too. My daughter, continued the mother, our enemies took advantage of your absence and did a lot of evil to us. They falsely accused us of all kinds of vices. They slandered your name and your innocent sisters' names. We tolerated all that and didn't retaliate. We had left them for Allah to punish them. I know all that, mother, said Frida, my sisters had told me everything. You know I trust my sisters. No one can do harm to them as long as I live. I know, my daughter, you are their head and guardian. You will fill the mouths of their. Frida impatiently, are you not happy to see me again? Why are you crying all the time? Rejoice and be glad, for I have come to spend 2 weeks with you. I have waited for the time to see you in your house with your husband and children. Your marriage is the desire of my heart. I have waited for many years for the day in which you will be rewarded for what you have done to your sisters. Today is the day in which I am supposed to rejoice and be happy, but our enemy has turned this great day into sorrow. He broke my heart, but Allah will break his heart and turn all his days and the days of his mother and sister into sorrow. When the mother spoke those words, Frida, Intisar, and Firdaus stood on their feet and opened their eyes wide in fear. They understood that their mother is about to tell them of an evil done to her by their half-brother Omar. Sami and Salah also stood up and waited for the mother to reveal the sad news. Frida walked slowly and knelt before her mother and said with her teeth tightly joined in anger, Tell us, mother, what the wicked Omar has done again. Don't hide anything from us. Before the mother can break the sad news, she looked at Sami and Salah. Never mind Sami, he has become a member of our family. He is now Intisar's fiancé, and this is Salah, Sami's best friend. Today, Omar had come to me and brought with him Hassan, the son of Mr. Mahjoub al-Hilali. He asked me about Intisar. I understood what is in his heart. I looked at Hassan and said to him, if you want Intisar as a wife, Omar isn't her guardian. You have gone to the wrong person. Wait for Frida, for she is the only person that can give my daughters in marriage. When I told him that, he answered me in anger and said he had already sent a letter to Frida. He then said you had written in your reply that Intisar is free to choose her life partner, and since she said no to you, that is the end of the matter. I told him, Frida is to be blamed for her reply, but she is the only guardian that Intisar has. Wait for 1 or 2 days until she comes from Abu Dhabi, I will then talk to her about your proposal. I further said to him, I know you are from a good family. But please don't bring to us this Omar again. He is our bitter enemy and always looks for way to spoil the good reputation of my daughters. When I said so, Omar opened his mouth which smelled of liquor and said in anger, what I wanted to do I have already done yesterday at the mosque. I have given Intisar in marriage to Hassan Mahjoub al-Hilali. She is no more under your control or Frida's authority, because she has become the wife of this man. When the mother finished narrating her conversation with Omar and Hassan, a dead silence fell on everybody. Frida arose to her feet and possessed a look of inexpressible anger on her face and said, "Can such a wicked conspiracy be plotted against my sister? Can such a wicked person as Omar sell my sister as if she is his father's property?" While Frida is speaking, Sami is forced by the shocking news, walked to Intisar and embraced her so tightly. His whole body is shaking and shivering. His face is full of wrath. He looked at the others and said with so much determination and anger, "No power or authority in the whole world can separate me from Intisar, for she has given her life to me and I have sold my being to her." With every word he had spoken, Sami had tightened his hold on her. Intisar didn't hear a single word of what he had spoken. For her mind went blank as soon as she came to know that she is a married woman. When Sami realized that she is not responding to his hold, he looked at her face. He saw her face had become lifeless. He began to shake her body and shout in her ears, "Intisar, don't go! Don't leave me alone! Come back! No one can take you from me!" Nonetheless, Intisar didn't respond to his shaking and words. His mind went blank too. Both of them collapsed on the floor. Intisar's body is on top of Sami's body. Salah is the first one to overcome the shock. When he saw Intisar and Sami went flat on the ground, he took hold of Firdau's hand and shook her out of her sulky coma. "Where is your phone? We must call a doctor," shouted Salah. "Yes," said Firdaus, "also we must call the police to arrest the wicked man Omar." The mother too fainted when she saw her daughter collapsed. Salah grasped the hand of Firdaus and pulled her out of the room before she collapsed too. The sulky girl ran out with Salah without knowing whether he is taking her to call the doctor or the police, or even flee away before somebody else will marry her too. When they came out, he stopped her and shouted again, "Where your phone is kept?" She took him into two wrong directions before she can show him the right one. Salah snatched the receiver and dialed the number of the first doctor came to his mind. He slammed down the receiver and once again took hold of Firdaus' hand and pulled her out of that room. "Go to the kitchen and bring to me a jug full of cold water," said Salah. The sulky girl ran towards the kitchen while Salah returned to the room. He found Frida had managed to carry her mother and put her on the bed. He assisted her on taking Intisar and Sami and put them together on the other available bed. Firdaus came in holding a big jug of water. She handed it over to her boyfriend. Salah poured some cold water first on the mother's face and then on Sami's and Intisar's. Only the mother responded and opened her eyes. At that time, they heard heavy knocking on the outside door. Salah ran out and came back along with the doctor. "How it happened?" asked the doctor, "please tell me briefly." "A conspiracy is made to separate them and they can't stand the incredible news that the girl had been given in marriage to another man," said Salah. The doctor didn't ask any further question. He began his work immediately. After 5 minutes Sami responded to the treatment, but Intisar did not. After another 10 minutes, she opened her eyes, but she didn't recognize anyone. The doctor took Frida and Salah out of the room and told them that most probably she has lost her memory. He gave her and Sami some tablets and injections and left. The heavy doses caused the lovers to fall asleep. Frida, Firdaus, their mother, and Salah took chairs and sat on the house's compound and began to discuss the serious matter. "Who is to be blamed for this wicked conspiracy?" asked Frida. "Of course, the criminal Omar," replied the mother. "I think Hassan has paid a lot of money to Omar," said Firdaus. "No doubt about it. The dirty man agreed to sell his sister for money," said Frida. "We must hand him over to the police if he comes here again," said Firdaus. "Now tell me, mother, who is the Mu'allana that conducted the marriage contract?" "Is he Mu'allana Sheikh Marzouk?" inquired Frida. "Yes, he is the one. Hassan had showed me the marriage contract with Mu'allana Sheikh Marzouk's name and signature in it," replied the mother. That foolish Mu'alana should have inquired about the real guardian of the girl before conducting her marriage, said Frida. Hassan said he had convinced Mu'alana that he had written to you, answered the mother. Why didn't he wait until I come and find out from me the reason? I have accepted Sammy's proposal for Intisar. My daughter Frida, who had written to you first, Hassan or Sammy? Of course Hassan, but before I had received his letter, Intisar had written and told me that she rejected his proposal because she wanted to continue her study. He is not fully convinced by her reply. He said she didn't say yes or no to him except that she wanted to continue her study. What do you mean by that? Of course, I had written to him very clearly that since she said no to the proposal, that is the end of the matter. His letter revealed that he wanted me to force her to accept him. May I share in this discussion? Asked Salah. Yes, of course you are welcome to join us, said Frida. Since Hassan understood that Intisar refused his proposal and Frida took her side, why did he go to Omar? Why didn't he go to Omar before Frida? Besides that, do you think Hassan and Omar alone had planned such a wicked conspiracy? Asked Salah. The only person that might be interested in separating Sammy and Intisar is Mr. Osman Al-Taib. But, I doubt that that man has a hand into this conspiracy. How could he know that Omar is Intisar's eldest brother, and how did he come to know that Hassan is interested in Intisar? Said Frida. What about Mu'alana Sheikh Marzouk? Of course he is to be blamed, not as a conspirator, but as a foolish religious leader. How can he sit in the mosque and conduct marriages without trying to find the motives of the interested parties? Tomorrow I will go and expose to him the motive behind the wicked conspiracy and asked him to nullify the marriage contract of Intisar and Hassan, said Frida. I don't think Mu'alana will be willing to abolish the validity of the marriage contract, because he is interested in Sammy getting married to his daughter Samaya, said Firdaus. How did you came to know that? Asked Frida. Sammy had told Intisar that his parents are interested in getting him married to the daughter of Mu'alana. His mother had already talked to Mu'alana's wife and both showed interest in the proposal. How did you know that Mu'alana had come to know about Sammy and Intisar's friendship? I am not sure about that, I am just guessing. You are just making an assumption. I am going to ask Sammy to come with me. He can tell Mu'alana that he has proposed Intisar and she has accepted his proposal because both of them are in love, said Frida. What will you do if Mu'alana refused to abolish the marriage contract? Asked Salah. When Frida heard such a possibility, her face changed and became very serious. I will go to Hassan and his father and tell them that Intisar is not a slave girl to be sold by Omar and bought by them. She has an absolute right to choose her life partner, and since she rejected Hassan's proposal, he has no right to force her to marry him. I don't think Hassan is going to listen to you. He loves Intisar madly, said Firdaus. That is not love, shouted Frida in anger, that is a sheer selfishness. And if he refused to renounce the unlawful marriage contract, I will go to that slave trader Omar. I don't think that wicked person will allow you to enter his house, said the mother. In that case, I will go to the law. I will appoint a big lawyer. I am ready to spend all that I have saved in defending the rights of my two sisters. I am their sole guardian and protector. My dear daughter, said the mother, I know that you love your sisters. I also know that you have sacrificed so much to make them happy. Now you have got a nice job in Abu Dhabi. Why do you want to leave your work and run after courts and lawyers? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to close my eyes and shut my ears and leave such evil people to take my sister by force? She will be forced to commit suicide or run away from home. Then, I go back to Gulf as if I have no love for her. My beloved daughter Frida, said the mother, I have not said you should do that. Listen carefully to my advice and then talk. Intisar is my daughter and no mother wishes evil to her daughter. My advice is this, First of all, I have come to know that Sammy's father is not accepting the match between his son and our daughter because we are poor and he is rich. He had written Intisar's name in his notebook and strictly warned his son not to associate with her. That means he is serious about separating them from each other. He is a rich and influential man and all the police authority in his hand. Who knows whether his hand is already in this conspiracy of Omar or not? My first advice is to discourage Intisar from continuing her friendship with that rich man's son. Secondly, all of us have agreed that the way Hassan used the wicked man Omar to get Intisar as his wife is wrong. But one thing I am sure about is that Hassan has deep love for Intisar. He will do everything to make her happy wife. The Sudanese proverb says, "It is better for the girl to marry the man who runs after her than the man she runs after." Many times, Hassan has proposed himself to Intisar. That shows how much he loves her and how much he wants her to be his wife. Even by using Omar, that shows he wants her by all means. I believe that he will not have gone to Omar unless someone had told him that Intisar is in love with a rich man's son. Naturally, because he loves her, he will not tolerate to see her going wrong. Moreover, we all know a rich boy eventually will make a poor girl pregnant and withdraws himself and denies the whole matter. Who knows what Intisar has already done with that rich boy? Only Allah knows. Therefore, before it is too late, my daughter Frida, open your ears widely and listen carefully to the advice of your mother. My advice to you, my beloved daughter, is to convince your sister that her friendship with Sammy is not likely to work for her good. When her eyes are open to the truth, then you can go to Hassan and his father. Tell them that by going to Omar they had done very wrong thing. So, if they accepted their mistake and ready to apologize to Intisar and her family, we can convince our daughter to marry Hassan on her own free will and not by force. When the mother finished her advice, a dead silence swept over the place. Everybody looked at Frida to see how far she is convinced by her mother's advice. You know, mother, said Frida thoughtfully, whatever you have said, it came from your heart and not your mind, and that is why it sounds very selfish and nonsense. You have spoken in the interest of your own children and have forgotten to include Sammy. He has proved to us today that he is genuine in his love and hence cannot live without Intisar. If I have to follow your advice and force Intisar to leave him, what will happen to him? He will become mad or commit suicide or else destroy his life through alcohol. Besides that, you have seen what has happened to Intisar when she heard the conspiracy of Omar and Hassan against her. She lost her memory and who knows whether she is going to regain it back or not. I will never allow such evil people as Omar and Hassan to destroy the life of my sister and her friend Sammy. I will also stand with you, Frida, until I see my sister get married to her fiancé Sammy, said Firdaus. Me too, said Salah. As a lawyer, I am ready to stand by your side and fight against such wicked conspiracy. When the mother realized that her advice had been rejected and everybody had supported Frida, she got up and went to her room to sleep.